For me, my line comes from circle practice, which is an ancient practice basically, like people gathered around a campfire under the local big tree or whatever. And there's two strands that I know, the circle way and the way of counsel, who have brought that into current society. And my intrigue came when we had people who were used to being in circle, and sometimes at some point we noticed there was like a shift. And at that point we called it the magic in the middle, because we didn't know what happened, and I became intrigued by it, like what are the conditions that this happens more easily or quicker, or which led me on a whole journey, and to where we are now. In the beginning we were so intrigued by that thing that happened in the middle that we used to call it the circle being, like an it. I started realizing that this is not something that sprouts, or it's more like, can we spread our attention, and where we gravitate, which is in the Western world very much personal, individual, here, my body, me, to not just you and me, but also to the circle, and even what is beyond the mystery, the mystical, the trance, whatever you call it, it's always there. It's not something that we create. It's more like something that our attention can be trained to be with and to stay with, and not getting caught up in, when you spoke too fast, or you said something wrong, and just drop all of that interpersonal shit, if I may say so. And like, what is happening in between us? And if we, that's my big thing, my belief, like, if we then put a question in the middle, what insights might we get from, I don't know where? Actually, something creative can come true, I think. That's what I see as potential, that if we can be in this space, in a group of people, contemplating a real question, like a real problem, real project, what insights, what wisdom will reveal itself. I call it subtle sensing. How do you know that that person needs the song, or needs the money, or needs whatever? Where do you perceive? It's not by looking, it's not by hearing, but we have inner sensing organs that somehow know. I can't explain it. I mean, it's part of the mystery, I think. what we, and the we is practitioners of what I've called collective presencing. We offer free, open dialogue spaces. It's a practice. And most people who come to this collective practice have already some kind of individual practice. And that can be anything from authentic movement, meditation, Quaker, Feldenkrais, yeah, you name it, artists. And somehow they know, I think that's how I look at it, they know the power of practice. So what if we come together in practice, like every week, together in the open generative dialogue practice, and get more and more to this state and this awareness or presence or whatever word you want to use. That's how we have been doing it so far. We had gatherings with women. It was called Women Moving the Edge, which happened 13 times over a 7-year period, either more on the European side, Belgium, or more on the US, mostly around Boston, because that was where my partner in crime was at that time. And we just explored this, just experimenting basically. And out of these gatherings, with lots of prep calls, which were all transcribed, some of my blog posts that I had written in these gatherings. So I had a huge pile of data, you could say. And I started looking for, like, what is the underlying pattern? What is the model, you could say? Like, what are dimensions and levels you need to pay attention to? And what are the pitfalls that get you out of the space? And it's still evolving. Yeah. And it's only when COVID came and Peter Limburg from the STOA invited me for an interview, and then invited for a weekly practice online, I was like, oh, is that going to work with people that I don't know? And I said, let's try. And that's what we have been doing since the beginning of COVID. And it works. And I guess a new chapter is somehow forming, but I can't fully see it yet. So as these online sessions started, I said, if we want to do this regularly on this platform, I want to have co-hosts. And 2 people that I didn't know stepped forward and said, we want to learn, we want to help out. And that's what they did. And together we had a call to figure out, like, what is the question we are going to use, because that's central in the practice too. Like, what is the question we are inquiring into? And from there they evolved, and eventually they were hosting a session and more people stepped forward in co-hosting. And what we did, and what I did from the beginning, was after the 90-minute dialogue session, we would officially close and I say, now it's 30 minutes, what we call debrief. And it was originally set up for the 2, for like, hey, what questions do you have, what comments, and so on. But somehow, I don't know how that came to be, but we said anyone is welcome. in the debrief. Any one of the participants. Sorry. So that turned out that either people who are new and haven't been in the practice, they want to hear, they want to learn, they have some questions. And on the other hand, there are people who are regular in the practice who start to be thinking of, why are they doing this and why not that, and don't you think this? And so in that debrief time is actually a capacity building time. And out of that we have now a group what we call core practitioners who host these open sessions online, all for free. And we have a group of 35 or something right now. I used to say I'm just a little Flemish girl. That was my, let's say, my upbringing. Working class, little village. Yeah, totally Catholic, as most of Belgium is. So I went to university, got married, got 3 kids, was supposed to be on the right path, and then got divorced and started following my first course somewhere, and since then it never stopped in a way. So I've done loads of workshops and trainings, and I studied psychology, didn't have the feeling or the confidence and the feeling that I learned something or anything useful. I mean, in the relationship with patients, yeah. So then later on I did another training which was called emotional bodywork, which was very physical emotional work. And after these 3 intense years, I was like, okay, now I can be of any help maybe to other people. And so I've been a therapist since long. And from therapists, individual, did group therapy, and also went to teams and bigger systems and organizational development and training in art of hosting, and yeah, so many things. And I'm a gardener. You can find me every weekend day in the garden. Keeps me sane. So that's my grounding. If you build good soil, things grow.